Hey,
Hey,
I love you.
I love you. We all say these words. I mean, at least I hope that we all say these words. And if you're as lucky as I am, you'd have a truly amazing person who says these same words to you. However,
Comma.
over time, we get to the point where apathy sets in. We get used to hearing these words. These words become regular to us. We take them at face value, we take them for granted. And it's important to counter that apathy by reminding ourselves of what these words truly mean, what they stand for. And the best way to start about going through that process is by asking the age-old question, what is love?
In an attempt to answer that, let's take a look at some of the definitions of love that we found. The first definition says that love is like a situation where one is delighted by the happiness of another. Another definition says that love is unconditional selflessness. And the most romantic of them all says to love someone is to see them and feel your heart giggle and shiver.
Jira, Kudanjira, wait. Let it not be said that I didn't say this. If you find yourself in a situation where you see the person that you're attracted to, that you're in love with, right? And then your heart starts to do the Harlem Shake and starts to do leg walk, let me advise you. Set up a meeting with your cardiologist because what you're experiencing is arrhythmia. It can kill you.
Babe, let's romance breathe.
Sorry, carry on, my bad.
Okay, what is important is not the definition of love. What is important is the application of love.
Preach.
Love is not necessarily a feeling. It's more like a symptom. For us, love is more than just feelings, more than just the excitement, more than arrhythmia.
Wow. So, my parents split up when I was 6 or 7 years old. And immediately, my mother found herself in that unenviable position of being a single mother of 3 children in the late 80s in northern Nigeria. So she weighed her options and she decided that, you know what, I'm just going to go this on my own. I'm going to raise my 3 children all by myself. And for a couple of years, things were normal, like we were good. Unfortunately, at some point, our family stumbled upon difficult financial times. So my mother had to take on another gig, a side gig, as an accountant. Thank you. As an accountant for a non-government organization. And this was apart from her regular 9-to-5 job, you know. So there's so many evenings when my mother would come back home from work really exhausted because she has been working all day on 2 jobs. And my siblings and I would rush and, prepare her bath, heat up water and everything. And then my mom would go and take a bath, come back outside, then all 4 of us would go into the kitchen and she would make us dinner. And while she was doing that, we would talk. She would talk to us, ask us about our day. We'd go sit together, would eat. And in that time, she would mother us. She would encourage us, teach us, make us laugh, everything that mothers do. And then when we're done eating, we would watch TV for a little bit, and then she would usher my siblings off to bed. I used to get an extra hour of being awake because, firstborn. But in that hour, my mother would truly unburden herself. She would open up to me because in this time I had become her confidant, her lieutenant when she was not around, her firstborn, the pseudo-father of her children, their older brother, and her best friend. So she would unburden herself and tell me about everything. She would tell me about her small victories, her fears, her worries, her concerns about our future. And I would listen. And to be honest, there really wasn't much else I could do. I mean, I was 8 or 9 years old at this time. So I would listen, and the fact that I was so helpless used to frustrate me so much. But then as I got older, I started to realize that that 1 hour and the routine that led up to that hour was so important to my mother because these were the things that kept her going through the toughest period of her life. She was below 30. And what that taught me about love is that love is being available, reliable, dependable, and above everything else, consistent.
Speaking of consistency, thank you, you can clap. I remember one of the major things Ibra and I used to say to each other when we started dating was
Consistency.
So we used to tell each other that don't start a routine that you cannot dedicate discipline to.
Yeah.
Simply put, do not start something you cannot continue. So that helped us manage our expectations of each other. Speaking of expectations, I always expected that my relationship would be like that of my parents. You see, Ibro and I are from 2 different family backgrounds. My parents, are, on the other hand, have been married for over 40 years now. And they still act like they are dating.
This is true.
And I grew up watching my parents be affectionate in front of us, kissing, hugging, holding hands, and laughing. I remember one time that my siblings and I had to hound my parents that they should at least give themselves pet names, not the usual Papa Oni, Mama Oni, that they screamed all over the house. Something like darling, honey, or what I call Ibro.
Babe.
Thank you, I know. So my parents came up with a name, Lolly Polly. Don't ask. I don't know what they were thinking. We hounded them, so they gave it to us. But you see, the love my mom and my dad shared is the kind of love I've always wanted with my husband. I remember my dad coming back from work and running straight to my mom's restaurant to be with her until she closed up. They argued. Don't get me wrong, they argued. But whenever they did, they come out the next morning holding hands and smiling into each other's eyes. That, for me, was love.
And the interesting thing here is that based on our experiences growing up, and trust me, our experiences were completely different, we were able to find a common trait. And that trait is consistency. That conscious, intentional decision to be present, hands-on, and available for your partner at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you for free that that is not a feeling. It is a choice.
So, basically, here's what has worked for us. We look into each other's eyes every day and say, I choose you. We say, I love you. Don't get me wrong.
A lot.
A lot. But when you say, I choose you, you say it with intent. You say it with meaning. It carries weight. To love is easy. You can love so many people at the same time. You can love your parents. You can love your siblings. You can love your children. You can love your friends. I mean, we've been told that we should love our neighbors as thyself. And that is normal and expected.
And it's important to remember that when you choose someone and you let them know that you choose them, it means that even if the entire world is going up in flames, or the sky is falling on our heads, or the richest guys or the hottest babes are chasing after you with everything that they have, you choose your partner above everything, including yourself.
So, even though we say, I love you,
All the time.
every day we look into each other's eyes and say these 3 simple words. I
choose
you. Thank you.
Thank you.